We have to become the person we are meant to be first, to live the life we are destined to live. We all encounter challenges, obstacles, and even dark times on that journey, but we are not alone. This podcast will give all seekers hope and understanding that others have walked that path before us. My guests will share how they overcame the challenges and what helped them turn the corner. Listening to their inspiring stories, get motivated and take action to transform into that amazing person that you really are. Your voice needs to be heard and your message must be shared. My name is Sabine Quenberg and I am your host. I am glad that you're here to listen to my podcast where you can discover how to become the more incredible version of yourself. Are you ready? Let's get on this journey together. Now, let's dive into our guest interview. Welcome to my show, Become. My guest today is Denise Taylor. She started her Next Level Business Consulting firm in 2016. And her entrepreneurial journey comes on the heels of a fantastic corporate career that boasts so much success, it would literally take pages to share. Denise is also the executive producer and host of two podcasts. The Top 100 podcast, Embrace Your Power, which I had the privilege to be a guest on. So that was very fun. And thank you, Denise, for that. That launched in April of 2021, and the Top 25 podcast, I Am the Good Thing, which just launched last year in November. Well, welcome, Denise. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, and I really appreciate you inviting me. I have to tell you, the name of your podcast is so evoking for me because I love journeys of growing and perspectives of stretching ourselves. And when I think of the word become, it's almost like a clarion call to stretch, grow, evolve, and all those things. And so I'm really excited about our conversation today. And I just can't wait to get deeper.
Absolutely. Me neither. Let's start by, you are a multi-passionate You're multi-passionate, which means you are often asked, Denise, what exactly do you do? So, Denise, what exactly do you do?
So I love the term multi-passionate, and I'll tell you, it's something I embraced probably a year ago. Because oftentimes when you have a lot of interest, you kind of feel like you're all over the board. And when you're gifted and talented where you can do a lot of things, you find yourself showing up in many ways. And so when I heard the term multi-passionate, I knew that resonated so strong with me. But it is very true. I get asked a lot, what do you do? And I always like to summarize it with 4 different categories. So I love to write. I have a gift to do that. I can wake up and just write very freely. My best writing times are in the beginning of the day, in the morning, and I can lean into that really well, and I enjoy doing that. So that just means I have long blog posts on social media. That means that I have 2 books that have been written. I just enjoy it. It's very freeing for me, and it's a gift that I can kind of trace it back to my mom. She was a writer in that way. The second thing is I enjoy speaking. So I speak. As you mentioned, I have 2 podcasts. I do speaking engagements. I enjoy being up, inspiring and empowering. And so that is a way that I show up. The next is I build, and I love to say I build people. I help people build a life that they love. And I talk about that, specifically women. And so when I talk about building, it really is about helping to go after what you want, achieve your dreams, really be invested in the life that you're creating for yourself. And then finally, I mentor. I enjoy mentoring. And I'll have to tell you, it's something that I didn't necessarily have context around fully, but I got the revelation to move in that way. And it has been so fulfilling and so satisfying to be able to connect with people in that vein. Now, I will tell you, underneath those things, there's a lot going on, right? I juggle a lot. I juggle a lot within the context of writing, speaking, building, and mentoring. But those are probably the lanes, if I could describe it that way, that a lot of my energy is devoted to.
And I love what you said. Sometimes we have so many talents and multifaceted that we are not have to have the feeling that we have to be put in a box, but rather use it all. And sometimes it works so beautifully all together.
Mm-hmm.
And what you just said is really pursuing your dreams. I read in your bio you had a, a big career in corporate.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what was the decision for you to start your own consulting business?
So the consulting business started a few years before I will say I leaned fully into it. So when you have certain gifts and talents, and my background is with technology, you're often asked how to. In fact, I was on a call right before this helping with someone with a how to kind of question. And so I knew that I could shore up people from a technology standpoint. And that's kind of where the firm began. It began around helping people to evolve into websites. It began with landing pages. It's evolved into podcast producing, and essentially everything that is in place to support me is what we support clients with. But I will tell you, when it comes to really stepping out to serve more, that mandate came when I was home on medical leave and I was recovering. And I'm not a big TV watcher, so it was a lot of silence going on. Our girls were away at school. My husband was working long hours, so I was home by myself, spending what I call my time in silence camp. Now, the interesting thing about silence, when you are thrusted into it, is you really open yourself up to be divinely communicated. At least in my case, that was so. And in that instance, my husband and I were approaching our 25th wedding anniversary. And I was planning a celebration. And as I was inviting my girlfriends, they were saying, I'm happy for you and him, but I don't think me and my husband are going to make it. And it was like this reoccurring theme. So in the midst of my silence camp experience, I could feel I needed to do something to help. I needed to show up and begin to serve. And what started as me stepping out to help them has evolved into a whole lot more 3 years later. And so that evolution really hangs upon a mission that I heard then that I still pursue now, which is simply stated as this: transcend success and become significant. And significance for me is all about how do you serve and impact others. And that means I need to be seen. That means I need to be heard. And that means I need to offer life-changing services and resources to people. And so from that time, 3 years ago, I heard that, and I've been on a quest since then. It has evolved, right? So where I started out trying to help people around love relationships, it's evolved because what I began to understand is we have to grow personally in order to soar relationally. And oftentimes, whether it's a love relationship or any other relationship you're a part of, friends, family, work, it's a personal journey. And once you can begin to understand that, you'll show up different. And that's kind of the evolution that has happened to really help us get out of our own way so that we can take those personal growth journeys and we can be more effective in our relationships and also in what we want. So that's kind of how it started for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I would like to add on to what you just said, a personal growth. And this is what this podcast is all about, really becoming your next greater self. Was there a time in your life where you struggled, where you really had to go through a challenging situation, or perhaps even a dark time, but you came out on the other side stronger and perhaps even uh, explored and became your next greater self?
You said, is there a time? Isn't that life, right? Unless you give up on it, that evolution is truly life. So, in my terms, I call those defining moments. And I've had a
Mhm.
number of them throughout life. And I guess the one that I would hone in on is probably where over the last couple of years, I've been on this quest as I'm trying to show up and serve others. Part of that journey is doing the work to excavate in your own life so that you can begin to soar, right? If we use the skyscraper analogy, in order for the building to go tall, it has to go deep first. And so, over the last couple of years, as I started out with this whole mantra of grow personally to soar relationally, you got to walk it like you talk it, right? Which means that you have to be willing to take that experience and be fully invested in that experience so that you can be available to help other people navigate that too. So, the most recent and powerful example I can say is my personal journey to reckon with the things that life dealt me that I suppressed. I was showing up. I was doing all the things. I was having my best life. I was experiencing success in many contexts. But what I will tell you is I secretly wanted more. I will also tell you I struggled with imposter syndrome, though I was successful. I will also tell you that I nursed pain from past trauma. And it took me dealing with all of those things to really continue to show up authentically and transparently for people to recognize that they could do it too. Right. And so a lot of us, we take those journeys, but we don't share it. And it's not for everybody to share. But in my case, my mandate was to transcend success and be significant. And so there was a call on my life to share it. And so I had to open myself up to go to the hard places. I had to open myself up to go to the places that were dark. I had to open myself up to deal with childhood molestation, to deal with sexual assault, to deal with disappointment, to deal with a lot of pain so that I could get rid of the things that were holding me back and really driving me to shrink. And so, one of the things that has now been a release and a freedom that I can walk in is a choice of understanding my worthiness. It's a choice
Mhm.
of accepting that I can go for the things that I want. Now, belief is a big part of my life. And so it's hard for me to tell my life story and to tell my experiences without talking about my relationship and my faith in God. And that's just me, and people can believe what they want. I can only talk for myself and what my experiences have been. I was navigating through a journey where I had a whole bunch of talk of who I wasn't, and those words were my own. A whole bunch of talk of what I couldn't do, and those words were my own. And so I had to go back to, who did God say I was, right? As my creator and as the one I believe in, who did he say I was? What did he say I could do? And from his standpoint, and I accept that as my truth, is he has really great things to say about me. He's crazy about me. He says I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. He tells me I am the victor. He tells me I'm more than a conqueror. And those are the things that he says about me. So it's not boasting, but they ward against what I thought about for myself. And so while our experiences can say something to us, they may not be telling us the truth about who we are. And in my case, it's been an evolution to get rid of what I call stinking thinking and lean into, who does God say I am? But the interesting thing, it's more than just who he says I am. He says I can do some great things too. Right. So when I look at the platforms that I have, I'm the good thing. I'm the good thing because that's who God says I am. And really embracing seeing myself the way God sees me has been transformative for my life, even though I was already successful. The second part of that is what can I do? That's embracing your power. You see, God said he didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us power. And I believe when we embrace our power, we can be, do, have, and achieve anything that we want. And I also believe that you'll be divinely inspired to go for the things that's going to light you up from the inside out. They're going to create long lasting satisfaction and fulfillment because they're going to align with who he created you to be. And so my journey over the last couple of years has been very evolving. I have begun to understand things about myself that has made my confidence soar. Even though I was already successful, I became more confident in me. It also set me free to understand what I could do. And so that probably is the biggest defining moment, is really letting go of untruths and really understanding who I am based on my beliefs, and letting go on inabilities or letting go on things that I held at bay because I didn't think I could do it or I deserved it. And so that probably is the most transformative.
And can you think of a moment that like a defining moment that brought all of that into motion? That, yes, I understand we all have the imposter syndrome. I mean, that's such a buzzword these days, even if we are successful. But I believe there is like either a moment, or it can be something that you started and you progressed. It's different for everybody. But I believe sometimes there is like this aha, or it's enough, or you did something, or you saw something. Or can you think back of that one time or that one moment that was that the pivotal moment that you had that shift in thinking, I'm going to listen to God, for example?
I think it's the one I described when I was at home and that impression came, and it was quiet and I believed it. I believed that when I heard that you can transcend success and you could be significant, I believed it. So I guess the defining moment, or the moment that crystallized it for me, is when I accepted it. And it was in that time frame that it all went together, because when I went back to work, it wasn't satisfying to me anymore. I my experiences changed because my appetite for success changed, and I can only point back to that moment when I was home and got the clarity as to what I believe was my next step in my journey.
I love it. And I love what you say about being in the silent camp, because I believe too, silence is the only voice of God. Then we are open to actually hearing guidance, listening. So this is beautiful said. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so glad, because there's so many beautiful things that you do. So tell us more about your podcasts. One you started in 21, which is on the top 100, and then the other one just last year, and it's in the top 25. So tell us more about the podcast, and how did you make it so successful?
Well, I just felt the urge to start one. I have become more of a listener of podcasts after starting it than I was ahead of starting it. I probably had a select few that I listened to at the time, but I felt like I was being called to just put my voice in the wind, if I could call it that. I don't know that there's any one thing that I do to make it successful. I can't take that credit, right? So I don't have a magic box of tools that says, pull this lever, do this certain thing. I think what people are hungry for is authenticity and transparency. They're hungry for messages that let them know that they can make it through, that they can persevere. They're looking for people who look like them to be able to resonate with their stories. And so I just wanted to lift my voice in that vein. So initially, when I started my podcast in April of 2021, the name of it was actually Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness. But as I kept talking and talking and talking, I kept talking about embrace your power, embrace your power, embrace your power. That on the 1 year anniversary of the podcast, which was in 2022, I decided to change the name of it. So the earlier episodes referred to Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness. And the episodes after that referred to Embrace Your Power. It's quite honestly quite surreal to be facing the 100th episode. That means I have consecutively for 100 weeks shown up delivering new content every week. That's a big deal. I have not taken any breaks as it relates to that particular podcast. And that's by my own choice. I don't think that that really makes a difference, if you will, per se. That podcast is really about bringing people to the table to talk about their experiences, their testimony of overcoming. What did they go through to get to the point where they achieved that mark of success in their life by their standards? Because one of the things I know about success, even more now, is it definitely is a personal journey, even though it's not a solo act. And so I just bring voices to the table that can be empowering. We've had some incredible stories, stories of women who have dealt with alopecia. That's incredible. Stories of couples who have overcome infidelity. That's incredible. Stories of people who have faced 7 pregnancies, losing 4 babies and having 3. That's incredible. Story, just story after story of people coming on to share their victories. And I believe the Bible when it says we overcome through the testimonies of others. And that is what that platform is intended to do, is to really lift the voice of others. And so I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of what it's accomplishing. The fact that it's reaching 40 countries across the world blows my mind, that people are listening in so many places. And so that is a testament to the quality of content, not me. So I was encouraged. God encouraged me to start a new one this fall, which I still can't believe I did. But the inspiration for I'm the Good Thing is really centered around seeing yourself the way God sees you. And what I wanted to do is just come up with bite-sized nuggets of wisdom, right? Life wisdom to start your day. They're 5-minute episodes, really unpacking some nugget to get your energy going. They're released 3 times a week. So there's a new episode on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They're designed to listen while you're doing your makeup, while you're having your coffee or your drive into work, to really just get you thinking about things from a reflective, refreshing perspective. And that one has done pretty well as well. So, I feel like I'm just in hot pursuit of what I feel like I've been called to do, right? And it just shows up in the ways that I'm inspired to allow it to manifest. And it's just been encouraging. So those are the 2 podcasts.
I love it. And they are both so different. One is the interview show where we really listen to those stories that are inspiring. And I love, again, when I have my guests on the show, they are so different from all walks of life. And it really, for me, it's important for people to understand when they listen to those stories that they are not alone. So our time, it just went so quickly. So we have to wrap up our conversation, but I'm sure we have another conversation in the future. There's so much wisdom that you can share. Now, the last question that I have, obviously, first I want to ask you, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So I will tell you, Facebook is my playground. My personal profile there is where I show up most consistently, though I have a presence everywhere. Doing what we do, it makes sense to have a presence everywhere. But if you want to come play with me, Facebook is the place. My personal profile on Facebook, which is just Denise Taylor. My website is www.denisetaylor.live. And I have all the hooks into everything on that website. I'm really excited about the mentor program that I have, where I get to partner with people and really help them embrace their power, take that journey to understanding how to see themselves successful, how to shake off fear, how to do the work, take care of themselves, and hold fast to their faith. And so I invite people to check out that program. It's pretty phenomenal. I only offer it 3 times a year to a small group of people, mainly because I can't connect with a large group in the way that will have the greatest impact. And so I'm really excited about that. And there's some other programs that will be rolled out in 2023 that I'm excited about. But if you always visit denisetaylor.live, you will certainly learn more about everything that's going on. And Sabine, I just want to say thank you for opening the door for me to come and share with your community and your listeners. You're doing a great work here with them, and I really appreciate you allowing me to be a part of it.
You're so very welcome, and I wish you and your projects all the best. And thank you so much for being here. That was my interview, and if you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening. Until I see you again, always remember, serve from the heart, follow your passion, and live the life you imagine.